filter it. That's just a carbon block filter.
Yeah, yeah, we were just checking that out. I'm like,
Okay.
that looks like it goes to your house.
It
like,
does.
like where the main water comes
So
in.
you don't want to go through a hose because that picks up, I don't remember what the chemicals are called, but hose tasting chemicals. So you don't want to go through the hose.
Yeah.
But otherwise, filtered San Diego water is going to make good beer. You can get more advanced if you cut it 50-50 with RO. You'll probably make a little bit better beer.
Can you go full RO?
You can go full RO, but you're going to need to
Add the alkalides, like what you said.
exactly,
Yeah,
especially
okay.
calcium.
Okay.
You basically need calcium. Yeast needs calcium to work.
Okay.
So
Epic science, man.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So you can go full RO. A lot of people do that. You want at least 50 parts per million of calcium. And 10 parts per million magnesium. There's other flavor compounds like chloride and sulfate for the most part. Chloride will accentuate malt characteristics. Sulfate accentuates bitter hop characteristics.
That's
so
insane.
if you have more sulfate than chloride, it's gonna really accentuate the hops more.
Sure.
And, but if you want like a Scottish ale, you'll accentuate.
Yeah.
Or a lot of lagers, you have more chloride than sulfate. Very little for lagers, you want very little mineral content in general, but the mineral content you do have, you pretty much don't want any sulfate. So
What about beers like the sours, like a sour beer? Where is that?
well, the sour comes
Play
from a
in.
different chemical, instead of using yeast, or in addition to using beer yeast, they use other kinds of bacteria like lactobacillus or pediococcus or things like that actually create sour flavors. They eat sugar too, but instead of creating alcohol directly, they create some alcohol, but also sour byproducts. So that's where those come from.
Nice.
That's one of my little secret favorite things. Is like a good sour beer.
They are very good. They take a lot. I've never made one myself. Two things. Once you've used any equipment to make a sour, well, not boil equipment because there's no yeast or bacteria in here, but any fermentation equipment to make a sour that's dedicated to making sour.
Done, yeah.
That's
Okay.
just done. But also they take, to really make a proper good one, a year, 2 years
Whoa.
to really develop their character. So it's,
Oh, wow.
it's not...
No commitment for that. I can't
That's
be
the
there.
reason I haven't done it.
It's like when you're bored in 10 years, you're like you're
Well,
knocking
thing is,
things
I
over
actually
just so you
make
can
one.
pick them up again.
But if I actually made one, I'd throw it in a closet somewhere and just let it do its thing and be surprised a year later. It's
You'd be like,
haven't
thanks,
gotten around
past me.
yeah, exactly. Good idea.
You're a genius, thanks.
So I went to Cantillon,
Jealous.
which is
What is
one
that?
of the probably the most famous Lambic brewer in Brussels, Belgium.
Oh, really?
So that's like the quintessential Belgian sour. And they leave their fermenter tank open, and all the yeast from the city wafts into the beer, and that's what they ferment it with.
And so they have that kind of wild yeast there. So here in America, most sour producers, some do that, but most add like commercial wild yeast.
Grade F government yeast.
But it's
Take a
isolated.
bottle of Cantillon and dump it in, culture
Oh, right.
it,
It's
and,
like use it like
grow
a
those
bread
up,
starter,
and
right?
A lot of people do that as well. They actually take, because it's bottle conditioned or whatever, there's some yeast left over at the bottom. You can actually take that and grow that up into a pitchable amount and use that in your beer. And some people do that.
Did you do that like a sourdough starter? Like you just keep adding like flour to it or something? Or-
Basically, you step it up gradually. You basically add a lot of sugar, then the yeast multiply, then you do the same thing. You dump off that liquid, then you add a lot of sugar, the yeast multiply again, and until you have enough to correctly put into
No,
it.
all the sugar we're talking about is just regular, like pure cane.
That will work,
sugar.
but you really don't want to do that. You probably want to add maltose, so like malt extract, for example, or something like that.
So it's not in the cabinet sugar.
That would probably work. I don't know. There's an urban legend. I don't know if I believe it or not. That the yeast get used to fermenting one kind of sugar, and it's super easy apparently for yeast to ferment sucrose, and they will be lazy and not really able to eat more complex sugars after that. Apparently,
American.
I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not a yeast biologist, but that's the urban legend at least.
Talking about American, that's European.
What's that?
35-hour work week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was saying lazy American yeast.
We work more than Europeans.
We do. Can't decide if it's harder or smarter.
I've worked with a lot of Europeans in the last week.
So tomatoes and cucumbers from the garden. The onion is
Nice.
store bought. I don't know what else was in there.
Basil. oregano.
Basil's probably from our garden.
Yeah,
That's good.
must be nice having land.
We haven't had this until recently, so I mean we grew some tomatoes, but pretty much in pots. So
Yep,
this is,
you know how that feels.
I like the pebble. I might be deploying some of that in my place.
You don't have to water it.
yeah.
Exactly.
And
Turns out water
when
is expensive.
yes.
Yes, it is.
And when your friends are playing frisbee, they don't have to like.
Thanks for breaking my sprinkler head, by the way.
I didn't do that.
Uh-huh.
Somebody else did that.
Uh-huh.
I blame it on German immediately.
Oh, wow, you got a ring made out of that?
It's okay. I corrected it at Home Depot.
That looks like
I
fun.
joined the sprinklers last week.
Wait, what were you watering? The weeds? You don't have
Watering
big grass.
trees.
Oh, okay. With a sprinkler? Oh.
Oh, there's some.
So you want to get that?
It's kind of like
water bubbler.
kind of like
Yes.
bringing a BB gun to the beach in Normandy, right?
Outside, is somebody else playing music? No? Ice cream truck? That would be fun. So after the mash, we're actually going to turn this burner back on and raise the temperature up to about 165 or so. So I'm going to have this water at about 165 or so. That's just, that kills the enzymes, stops conversion, and also, again, theoretically, it's a little bit hotter, so it makes it easier to rinse the sugar off. Everything's a little bit less viscous and easier to flow. Any higher than that, the reason why you stop there is any higher than that, you start extracting tannins from the grain, which you don't want because of
That's
tannin, dude.
That's nasty.